It is like, oh my gosh, it's such an undertaking to do that.
It's an exciting thing.
You know, the adventure.
It's fun to dig up boats.
In 1856, Steamboat Arabia sank in the Missouri River near Parkville, surfacing rumors of old bourbon and gold that promised wealth. Despite many attempts to excavate this vessel and sell its treasures, only River Salvage Incorporated, after encountering multiple obstacles, succeeded.
The family staked their lives on this excavation, this adventure.
They didn't have the heart to separate the artifacts and decided to display them in the Steamboat Arabia Museum. The steam engine was invented by James Watt in 1769. There were many experiments on running boats with these engines, as they would make river travel more efficient and enjoyable. After Lewis and Clark returned from their expedition, people were more aware of and eager to explore the frontier. The two main ways people achieved this were traversing the three trails and going by river, both of which were ineffective at this time. This caused making this trip easier to be a top priority.
For them to have imagined jumping on an airplane and flying from here to the west coast, to be there in a couple of hours, wouldn't have occurred to them. That would be possible. Weeks, and then on a horse and a wagon and travel for weeks and weeks and get there months from that.
Thus, boats became larger and more efficient. First, there were smaller boats, such as the dugout canoe. This eventually evolved into the flatboat, then the Mackinaw. All of these boats had the problem of being unable to travel upriver. The keelboat, however, could travel upriver, but it traveled much too slow for the preferences of the population. Finally, after 50 years of experimentation, the steamboat itself was invented in 1819, which easily trumped the keelboats in efficiency. Steamboats could travel about 5 miles an hour upriver, which was revolutionary at the time. The steamboat soon became the most favored form of transportation to the frontier.
Steamboats were like UPS trucks today.
An era of this craft began and grew more and more important, changing the course of history. They soon dominated the rivers heading west, sending thousands of people to a new life, for better or worse. It was soon found that steamboats were at an incredible risk of sinking. Snags, fallen trees just under the water, would often pierce a boat's bottom and let water dominate it. Steamboats also commonly fell victim to boiler explosions, which were normally caused by putting too much wood into the boilers. About 200 vessels sank in a relatively small area, from Kansas City to St. Louis, most because of these two causes. Many of the boats that sank in the Missouri River sank within 5 years of being built, most never to be seen again. The Arabia was one of many. She survived 3 of the 5 expected years. The Arabia was built in Brownsville, Pennsylvania by the Pringle Boat Building Company in 1853. She was just an average-sized steamboat, but she became very popular in her short life. The steamer traveled deep into Indian Territory, as far as Pierre, South Dakota. She was praised for flowing in some of the most shallow waters, in her case, 4 feet 6 inches of water at full capacity. She was also praised for her speed and wonderful accommodations for cabin passengers. One traveler stated, "Go aboard the Arabia and be at home." The Arabia made many important trips in her lifetime, transporting countless pioneers from just before the Civil War up and down the mighty Missouri and Ohio rivers. When the Arabia sank in 1856, 220 tons of cargo went down with her. She hit a snag, a walnut tree, and immediately started flooding with water. She keeled over, sending furniture and cargo around the boat. Everyone, except for those going to dinghies to escape a possible boiler explosion, scrambled up to the highest point on the boat they could get to. Luckily, there were few people on board, so they were all able to get to shore, but there was a great deal of cargo lost by each one. The only casualty of the sinking was the one of an unfortunate mule who was still tied to a pole on the boat. Although the Great White Arabia sank under the supervision of the officers and captain, the vessel's staff were praised, as the Daily Missouri Democrat printed. Of course, the alarm and confusion which always attends to like sudden disasters prevailed here, but the fears of the passengers were allayed by the presence of mind displayed by her officers. From the time she sank until the end of her unearthing, the Arabia was the subject of many rumors. These rumors kept the Arabia remembered for a long time.
This newspaper said there was 2 safes. They had $5,000 in gold and silver.
After her sinking, many people attempted to excavate the Arabia. The first attempt was done by Robert Chadway, the second attempt was done by Dad Henson, and the third was done by Sam Corbineau and Jesse Purell. Even then, 50 to 60 recreational treasure hunters scouted out the Arabia and pleaded to excavate it, but were denied the opportunity. The final attempt at excavation was completed by Greg Hawley, David Hawley, Bob Hawley, David Luttrell, and Jerry Mackey, who created the River Salvage Incorporated. Most of the family helped with the excavation. Some of the younger ones at the time, like Brian Shearer and Matt Hawley, may not have been able to help much, but had a great time playing at the site. The group started their exploration with multiple steamboats, all of which were found and drilled to see if they possessed promising cargo. The Arabia was the last on the team's list of steamboats, located in a cornfield owned by the Sorter family, who purchased their land 1 year after the Arabia sank. They had grown up with the rumors of barrels of Kentucky bourbon and had let 3 other groups attempt to unearth the Arabia with no luck. At this point, the Sorter family was quite reluctant to let the River Salvage Company unearth the boat, but eventually agreed to let them out of pure curiosity. Nevertheless, Norman Sorter warned the River Salvage Company of the financial risk. If you want to shoot craps with your money, then come on ahead. This came with 2 expectations, one being they put the dirt back in the hole, and the other being that the Sorter family got 15% of the artifacts. It was found that the Arabia had 220 tons of precious cargo. The group had found countless items shortly into the excavation. The first of these was an 1849 Goodyear rubber boot, and from there, the amount and diversity of the items increased exponentially. This continued for months, each day bringing more challenges and treasures to the surface. Many of those in the crew had countless near-death experiences, and at times made their family feel abandoned. The experts weren't so happy about it either.
It would have cost a lot more money to have another company come in and do it, and we were doing it because it was fun. That's why we wanted to do it. We didn't want to hire somebody to do it. We wanted to learn to drive the bulldozers ourselves.
Once completely excavated, it was found that the boat had only 1 keg of whiskey, and even that was ruined by the water. Most of the liquor was champagne. The Arabia carried very little gold compared to the rumors told throughout Kansas City. The River Salvage Incorporated didn't have the heart to separate such a large and informative collection of priceless artifacts, therefore creating the Steamboat Arabia Museum. Through this all, the team has had to preserve the artifacts, which is still in process today and can still be seen at the museum. Despite the cost of this whole process costing around $1.5 million and leaving the team almost bankrupt, it was worth the bill. The significance the Arabia has on people's view of pre-Civil War times is incredible. The rumors told about its expensive cargo, though false, kept it remembered for over a century, drawing endless groups of people to excavate it. After the Arabia was unearthed, it was the largest collection of pre-Civil War artifacts in the U.S.
I don't know, probably a more personal insight to maybe what life was like. And
this was only an average-sized steamboat, and one of many, but this boat was excavated from an anaerobic environment that kept it remarkably intact, making it legendary. The Sorter family only took a few artifacts and didn't accept rare treasures. Instead of selling the artifacts, the River Salvage Incorporated made the Steamboat Arabia Museum with the same mindset. People come from around the world to see this museum. Many of these people leave inspired.
But people come here with goals to do other things. To write a book, to get a doctorate degree, to be a race car driver.
Steamboats Underground still call to the group.
David, he continuously goes out to look for another vessel.
The Hawley family has been considering excavating yet another vessel with the help of their next generation.
Yeah, the second project, the number 2 boat, it's been in the works for a while. We got to find the right boat. It's got to be of a certain time period. It's got to be fully loaded. It has to be when it sank going north up the river.
Sadly, Gregory Hawley was killed in a car crash in 2009 and will miss out on the second time at this journey.